The grand halls of the Zha'vari royal palace echoed with whispers. Whispers of pity, of scorn, of disappointment. Princess Elyria of the 7th Star Dominion stood at the center of it all. Her once glorious reputation now reduced to ashes. Her 4 arms, a mark of nobility among her species, had been reduced to 2 after the crash. The accident had not only taken her limbs but her dignity. The royal physicians had done what they could, but the neural damage was irreversible. She would never wield a plasma blade again, never dance in the zero-gravity courts, never be seen as anything but broken. And so, the proposals had stopped coming. Elyria's betrothed, Prince Vale of the neighboring Zha'vari Dominion, had been the first to abandon her. His message had been cold, delivered through a hologram rather than in person. The Zha'vari cannot be led by a cripple. Her own people, though they bowed in her presence, spoke behind their hands. She is no heir. The Dominion needs strength. Even her father, the Emperor, had grown distant, his eyes avoiding hers during council meetings. She was no longer a princess, she was a burden. Then came the humans. Chapter 2. The Human Delegation. The Terran Federation was new to the galactic stage. Their ships slower, their weapons cruder, but their diplomats, sharp. Ambassador James Carter had arrived with a small delegation, seeking trade agreements and alliances. The Zha'vari nobles had scoffed. Humans were weak, their lifespans short, their bodies fragile. But Carter had noticed Elyria. Not with pity, not with scorn, with curiosity. "You're the one who piloted that fighter during the Battle of Zentra, aren't you?" he had asked during a banquet, ignoring the glares of the other nobles. Elyria had stiffened. "I was. Before the crash. Before she became this." Carter had smiled, a strange human expression. "I read the reports. That maneuver you pulled saved an entire battalion. That's not something just anyone could do." For the first time in years, someone had spoken of her achievements rather than her failures. Chapter 3. The Proposal. Weeks passed. The humans lingered, negotiating, observing. Then, one evening, Carter requested a private audience with the Emperor. Elyria expected another trade discussion. She did not expect her father summoning her to the throne room. His expression unreadable. "Ambassador Carter," the Emperor intoned, "has made an unusual request." Carter stood before the throne, calm, unflinching. Then he turned to Elyria and knelt. Not to the Emperor. To her. "Princess Elyria," he said, "the Terran Federation would be honored if you would consider a union between our peoples. Not as a political tool. Not as a bargaining chip. But as our princess. Ally. Our friend." The room erupted in murmurs. A human proposing to a Zha'vari. To a disabled princess. Elyria's breath caught. "Why?" Carter met her eyes. "Because strength isn't just in the body. It's in the mind. The heart. And you, princess, have more of both than anyone I've ever met." Chapter 4. The Choice. The court was in uproar. Prince Vale sent a scathing message, calling the proposal an insult. The nobles whispered of human desperation. But Elyria, she remembered the way her own people had turned their backs, remembered the loneliness. And she remembered the way Carter had looked at her, not as a broken thing, but as someone worthy. That night she stood before her father. "I accept." The Emperor sighed. "You would leave your home for these humans." Elyria clenched her remaining hands. "Home is where I am valued, not where I am tolerated." Chapter 5. A New Dominion. The humans did not have palaces. They did not have grand fleets. But they had her. On Earth, Elyria found something she had never expected. Acceptance. Scientists worked with her to design neural-linked prosthetics, allowing her to move with grace once more. Strategists sought her counsel, valuing her tactical mind. And Carter, he stood by her side, not as a caretaker, not as a political ally, as her partner. Years later, when the Kesari attacked the Terran border, it was Princess Elyria who led the counteroffensive. Not with 4 arms, but with 2, augmented by human ingenuity, fueled by human faith. And when Prince Vale's ship lay crippled before her, she sent a single message. The Kesari cannot be led by a fool. Perhaps you should learn what true strength is. Epilogue. HFY. The galaxy had scorned her. The humans had lifted her up. And in the end, it was not the Zha'vari or the Kesari who shaped the future. It was her. And the species who had believed in her when no one else did. HumanityFYeah. The war with the Zha'vari Dominion ended not with a brutal conquest, but with a treaty, one drafted by Princess Elyria herself. Prince Vale, humiliated but alive, was forced to kneel before the Terran Federation's council. His father, the Kesari Emperor, had no choice but to acknowledge the new power in the galaxy, one led not by brute force, but by ingenuity, resilience, and the unbreakable will of those once deemed weak. Elyria stood tall in the grand hall of the Terran capital, her neural-linked prosthetics gleaming under the starlight filtering through the dome above. Ambassador Carter, now Chancellor Carter, stood beside her, his hand resting gently on the small of her back. The gesture was subtle, but to those who knew them, it spoke volumes. "You could have destroyed them," Carter murmured, his voice low. Elyria's lips curled into a smile. "And prove Vale right. That strength is only about domination." She shook her head. "No. Let them remember this day. Let them remember that the cripple they cast aside now holds their fate in her hands." And she had chosen mercy. Years later, the Terran-Zha'vari alliance flourished. Trade routes expanded. Technologies merged. And at the heart of it all was Elyria, no longer the scorned princess but a legend. On the anniversary of her arrival on Earth, Carter took her to a quiet hill overlooking the capital. The city glittered below them, a testament to what they had built together. "You know," he said, slipping a small metallic band from his pocket, "humans have a tradition. When we find someone we never want to lose, we ask them a very important question." Elyria tilted her head, her eyes narrowing playfully. "Another political alliance, Chancellor?" Carter laughed, then grew serious. He took her hand, her real hand, and slid the ring onto her finger. "Elyria, will you marry me? Not for treaties, not for power, just for us." For a moment she was silent. Then, with a softness few had ever seen, she leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his, a Zha'vari gesture of deepest affection. "Yes,